last time you picked your feet? Huh?
What's he talking about?
I got a man in Poughkeepsie who wants to talk to you. You ever been in Poughkeepsie? Huh? Have you ever been in Poughkeepsie?
Hey, man, come on, give me a break.
Hey,
What you talking about, man?
Let me hear you say it. Come on. Have you ever been in Poughkeepsie? You've been in Poughkeepsie, haven't you? I want to hear it. Come on.
Yes, I've
You've been there, right?
Yeah.
You sat on the edge of the bed, didn't you? You took off your shoes, put your finger between your toes, and picked your feet, didn't you? Now say it.
Yes.
All right. You put a shield in my partner. You know what that means? God damn it! All winter long, I gotta listen to him gripe about his bowling scores. Now, I'm gonna bust your ass for those 3 bags, and I'm gonna nail you for picking your feet in Poughkeepsie.
You diseased maniac. Do you really think you could hide it from me by encasing it in lead? I'll mold this box into your prison bars. Don't touch that.
I told you. It's kryptonite, Superman. Little souvenir for the old hometown. I've spared no expense to make you feel right at home.
You were great in your day, Superman. But it just stands to reason. When it came time to cash in your chips, so a diseased maniac would be your banker.
Forget about the crowds, the size of the school, their fancy uniforms, and remember what got you here. Focus on the fundamentals that we've gone over time and time again. And most important, don't get caught up thinking about winning or losing this game. If you put your effort and concentration into playing to your potential, to be the best that you can be, I don't care what the scoreboard says at the end of the game, in my book, we're gonna be winners. Okay? All right! Let's go! Let's go! Let me hear it! Go, 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 go!
I never wanted to be anything but an actor. George Scott had a line in Patton that I think is appropriate. God help me, I love it. I truly do. And there's a line that I always wanted to say, top of the world, Ma, top of the world.
Somebody big just died. Legendary actor Gene Hackman is dead at 95 years old. And my friend Mike North is here to deliver the eulogy. Mike, how are you, my friend? Long time no see.
Yeah, saw you a couple days ago after we went about a month with a couple deaths, but nothing pertinent to speak of. Jimmy Carter, Bob Uecker, if you will. We had talked the other day after the Roberta Flack show saying that it would probably be the Pope. And the Pope's just around the corner, no doubt about it. But this is an absolute stunner, folks. And we'll get to Gene Hackman in just a minute. I'm Mike North. He's Joe Mandel. And we are sponsored by Cumberland Chapels. Right there, beautiful place at 8300 West Lawrence Avenue, Norridge, Illinois. Great, great place. Run by the Lupos and the Martinos. Serving families with dignity and grace for decades. Just a staple of the area. Just a wonderful place. Some testimonials that have just happened for great people that have all been laid out there. Just an absolute, it's part of living is dying. And you know what? You want your family to go through the best and easiest time when they are dealing with a death, and they can give you that at Cumberland Chapels, 8300 West Lawrence Avenue in Norridge. And then you have, of course, Pennyville Station, just one of the top restaurants in the northwest suburbs now, just outside of the border of Chicago, Edison Park in Park Ridge, 112 Main Street. Great, great food, great drinks, great. It's a mingling. I don't even know if they use that word anymore. A mingling spot for people. Great outdoor garden when weather permits, which will be right around the corner compared to today. There's Jesse Rogers, myself, some great times there. 112 Main Street, the Antonacci's, Tony Antonacci, Tino Antonacci, right there at Pennyville station. Great food, great prime rib, anything you need, good fish, the whole ball of wax. And I'm sure Gene Hackman did live the whole ball of wax. You said earlier when we were getting ready to
Sure
come on
did.
that he was 95, and it's about the way he died. Let's go through that right now.
Wild.
The other day I'm watching, and I'm hearing that Gene Hackman and his wife, who's a concert pianist, and the dog are dead, but 2 other dogs are alive.
Yeah.
And everybody's going, well, it could have been carbon monoxide poisoning. Right now, it sort of doesn't look like it's going to be carbon monoxide poisoning. But I was thinking, okay, murder, suicide. You know me, Mr.
Sure.
Dark. Murder,
Yeah.
suicide, maybe heart attack. The other person becomes grieved, takes some pills. I mean, I went over like 10 scenarios. They just kept saying carbon monoxide. They still don't know what it is. But they, from what I understand, Joe, they were dead about a week.
Yeah, the police came out. The police came out this afternoon, actually, just before we did the show, and they said that first off, that it wasn't carbon monoxide poisoning, and that they went to Gene Hackman's pacemaker and saw that his last activity was on the 17th of February, which basically means that he died over a week ago, Mike. They don't know about his wife, but they said she was also decomposing. So it just makes you wonder what the heck happened.
Right. I mean, and they say a door was ajar, but then the maintenance guys, they did the call from outside saying they couldn't get in because the door was locked. He was looking in from the window, and he saw Arakawa, his wonderful wife there, laying down. So it's really a mystery. I don't know if they even know where to start. There's no sign of foul play. The place was, I didn't even know what a mudroom was. It's where you put your shoes. Okay, we called it a hallway. We lived in a 2-flat. We called it a hallway. Okay, when we got to the top of the stairs, we put our shoes on.
Yeah.
Okay, but it's, I guess, like a laundry room or the place that, the vestibule of your house.
Sure.
And then she was found in another room. And the dog, one of them's in a crate in the closet, dead, and 2 other dogs are running around. So the dog.
Well, that's the only thing I could think of the dog. I was thinking about this. I was like, well, maybe they had the dog in the crate because he was acting up or something, and then they both died and he starved. I don't know.
Right, he starved. So absolute shame.
Yeah.
Absolute stunner.
Terrible.
Stunner. One of the great actors of all time. I was talking about this thing. Now, he's a Danville, Illinois guy. Now, Danville, I put this up on my Twitter feed at North to North. You can check it out right now. Look at him there. Danville has 5 of the great entertainers of all time from their town that were born from 1924 to 1931. There's Gene as a Marine.
Yep.
And there he is as Clyde Barrow's brother and Bonnie and Clyde. That was a great movie. Nobody knew who Gene. I went to see Bonnie and Clyde, and I was in 8th grade. Nobody knew who he was. He was new, and just a shocker, like I said. And I think that the guy basically probably. Yeah, you start thinking suicide pact. You start thinking all this stuff, the woman can't live without her husband. All this stuff, but it's an absolute stunner. And he made some movies. Now, in Danville, he had Donald O'Connor, Dick Van Dyke, Jerry Van Dyke, himself, and Bobby Short. All 5 came from Danville, Illinois, were born from 1924 to 1930.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, that small a town, it holds like, I checked the population. That's right, folks. We prepare for this show.
That's right.
29,000 people in Danville. That's their population. And they come up with 5 guys like that, especially Dick Van Dyke and Gene Hackman. One
I mean,
lives to
that's
be 95.
right
and
there.
right? You had 195 years old between the two guys. And
And
we still don't know if Gene Hackman died of natural causes or not. I'm starting to think I'm 50-50 now.
mhm.
You know, I don't know where you stand on that. Where do you stand on that?
Man, I don't have the slightest clue. The whole thing is fishy to me, so I don't know either. I'm 50-50 as well.
Yeah, well, I'm telling you, I knew it wasn't carbon monoxide. Not if there were
Yeah.
two other dogs running around still.
Well, yeah, when
Okay?
I heard about the dogs, I'm like, okay, it's not carbon monoxide, but
Yeah. Now he was Gino. Well, I call him Gino like I knew him, but we did know
Gino.
Gino, but we did know. All right. Born January 30th, 1930. He died, of course, February 17th, but really maybe before that.
Yeah.
At the age of 95 in Santa Fe. He was born in San Bernardino, but he made his home in Danville, Illinois. His spouses are Faye Maltese. He had 3 kids from Faye from 1956. He was married to 1986. Betsy Irakawa married her from 1991 to she died now in 2021. 3 children. There he is as Lex Luthor. I always thought he should have had been bald, like the comic book character, but he decided to go with the hair. He wanted a mustache too, and they told him no. There he was in Young Frankenstein. I didn't know that was him until I saw the credits at the end of the show because nobody had announced it was Gene Hackman. Of course, he played little Bob Daggett, and he played Norman Dale from Hoosiers. I mean, I know the names. He was such a great actor. Royal Tannenbaum. I mean, Joe usually has trouble, maybe like with Roberta Flack. She wasn't out there. She was a singer. But sometimes you have a lot of stuff and sometimes you don't. So Joe had very flimsy stuff to go with Roberta Flack, but with Gene Hackman, there's no shortage of stuff.
I had no shortage. I had no trouble getting anything.
Maureen joins when he's 16.
Yep.
To get out of there, to get out of Danville. Lied about his age. The guy's a patriot. Won National Defense Service Medal, the China Service Medal, the Navy Occupation Service Medal. The guy was a gunner when he was 16 years old, 17 years old in the Marine Corps.
Jeez.
I mean, this guy is the American story.
It's
the American,
crazy.
The American success story. Now, the fun part about this, and he had health problems and stuff like that throughout. He had the pacemaker.
Sure,
like
pacemaker.
Joe said. And we did see recent pictures of him in the past year where it didn't even look like him. Okay.
Yeah, we'll get there in a minute.
Yeah, he was emaciated. There he is in the Replacements. There he is with his second wife. Pretty lady. Just Get Shorty, one of the best movies around. If you haven't seen Get Shorty, get it. Was an author. Wrote some books. There he is. So, I mean, he had deteriorated a little bit.
Oh, yeah, quite a bit.
Yeah. And, I mean, that's the picture when everybody saw him in America recently going, wow. You know, but you don't say much. A man's 95, you know.
Sure.
But it was a shocker to see him like that. Now, he did TV, did some plays. Of course, the Pasadena Playhouse, his roommates were Dustin Hoffman and Robert Duvall. Now, what are those chances?
And all 3 of them won Academy Awards.
Yeah, all 3 of them. And all 3 of them have, you know, you look at them, they're just normal looking guys. You wouldn't see they're Clark Gables. You know what I mean? So, God bless him. I'll go over some of his movies here. Bonnie and Clyde. Like I said, we didn't know who he was. Okay. And in Bonnie and Clyde, he played Buck Barrel, the brother of Clyde Barrel. A very good movie. That was his introduction, if you will. I Never Sang for My Father. He plays a father that is, a son. Who Melvin Douglas is the father. And he plays a son that is indebted to his dad, but wants to live his life also. That was another great movie by him. I'm going to skip some movies. The French Connection. So he did 2 other movies before that were pretty good, but the French Connection is the one he won his Academy Award for.
Sure.
That's the one that put him out there. I listed my favorite top 5 movies of Gene Hackman. And Bill Friedkin, who went to my high school, or I went to his high school, or we went to the neighborhood high school, Sun High School. Bill, I knew Bill, William Friedkin, who directed it. And I told him when I interviewed him that it wasn't one of my top 5. It was like my 6th favorite Gene Hackman movie. I just didn't like it as much as I liked Mississippi Burning, as I liked Hoosiers, as I liked The Birdcage, as I liked The Firm, as I liked Crimson Tide. Okay. And so he understood that. Now, Joe, I don't know what if you had to name your favorite Gene Hackman movie, you might have trouble finding it. I'm sure you had the French Connection in there in your top 5. I don't, but because his movies were so good, you can compete with the French Connection.
Yeah, it's tough, man. I mean, Hoosiers was always in the top for me.
Right.
But my favorite Gene Hackman movie, and it's probably a lot of people's my age's favorite, is I love The Replacements. I think he's so good with Keanu Reeves. He's so good in that movie. That movie's so funny. French Connection.
It's based off the replacement players in football back in the day, right?
Yeah. Yeah, Unforgiven is good with the Clint Eastwood movie, the Western. He won an Academy Award for that as well.
Oh, The Unforgiven. He's so good in that. And Clint Eastwood and Mississippi Burning. William Dafoe said, I heard there was a part available for an FBI agent. I didn't even know what kind of part it was. He said, yeah, I did it because I wanted to work with Gene Hackman. And then I saw, hey, man, this is a pretty good part. And it was a great, great movie.
Oh, yeah. And you can't forget Young Frankenstein either. He was so funny as the blind guy. Most people don't even know that was him.
That's my point. Just like with Bonnie and Clyde, though. This time, and we went to see Young Frankenstein. Me and BB were, I think, dating at the time, 76. Yeah. 5 times. I've told stories of how I've gone to movies, the same movie, numerous times. Back in the day, there was no blockbusters, and we saw it the first time and laughed our asses off. And as they're watching the credits, it says Gene Hackman, blind guy. I'm going, that was Gene Hackman? If you don't know at the time, and we didn't, you didn't know that was Gene Hackman, you would never guess that was Gene Hackman.
No.
And for a short stint, it was a 1-day shoot.
So
That's
funny,
how good.
Man.
That's how good it was. The Poseidon Adventure, not a fan. I liked him in it. He had the major role. He was rolling off the Academy Award.
Him and what? Shelley Duvall, right?
Shelley Duvall, Ernest Borgnine, Red Buttons, A Cast of Thousands. This movie, if you may not like it, he plays a drifter, the Scarecrow, made in 1973 with Al Pacino. They play drifters. The movie's just okay, but the acting with the 2 guys, it's Al Pacino and Gene Hackman. That's all I have to tell you. Great, great acting. Mediocre movie. Great acting.
And it was a bit of a dud in the box office too, that movie.
Yeah. The Conversation. It's about a guy that is a government guy, or he's a spy. He's an eavesdropper, but it ends up turning around on him. And he becomes the prey, so to speak, in the movie. One of the movies that, of course, if you weren't into that, it was just okay. Okay. I don't have The Conversation in my top 5, but I know it was a great movie.
Sure.
John Cassell plays Fredo in The Godfather, was in that movie. In fact, the 5 movies that John Cassell played in, all were great movies. All were top 5 movies. Godfather 1, Godfather 2, Dog Day Afternoon, The Conversation, and The Deer Hunter. Those were the 5 movies. So he was in that one. Young Frankenstein, we just talked about it. Just an outstanding role. He plays Harold, the blind man. Okay. French Connection 2, saw it, in fact, about 3 weeks ago. It wasn't bad. Okay. Wasn't bad. I mean, they had to go off a sequel there. It was one of the ones you wouldn't list as a sequel. Then Superman comes. Superman 1, Superman 2 as Lex Luthor with Ned Beatty, the Valerie Perrine, Christopher Reeve. Saw Superman, loved that Gene Hackman was in it. Marlon Brando on the first one. But Gene Hackman was Lex Luthor. And he did an outstanding job. He made it entertaining. Reds, Pete Van Weary. There he is. Well, I loved you in French Connection. Oh, yeah. Well, the yell scene was great. But
That's pretty good, Mike. That's pretty good rating.
Well, thank you, Joe. There you go again.
Nice.
Yeah. He talked about meeting Reagan, and he was in awe of Reagan, and they had a good time talking. One guy's a former movie star, one guy was a current movie star. Gene Hackman did do some stuff after he retired for the Marine Corps because he was a big Marine Corps guy. But that's a great meeting that he had back in the day with Ronald Reagan. I don't know if it's as great a picture meeting as Elvis and Nixon, but Gene Hackman and Ronald Reagan. Well, thank you. Not bad, ladies and gentlemen. Okay.
Not at all.
Uncommon Valor. Hoosiers.
Classic.
Second favorite after Mississippi Burning. Just we all identified. If you played Park District ball.
Of course.
If you played any kind of basketball at all. I played high school and I played junior college. Plus I played pickup ball my whole life. Church leagues. That's why it's a hit. That's why Field of Dreams is a hit, because we can all identify. We've been there. We've had that chance.
The underdog story too, man.
Absolutely. And just a great job. Was supposed to be very difficult on the set. He wasn't always the easiest guy to work with, but he was always ready to go. And had a good sense of humor from what I understand. But Hoosiers with No Way Out.
That's my favorite right here.
There you are. Look at that. And Keanu, who I had drinks with at Gibson's back in the day.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah. Took him to a Bulls game. Met him.
I love Keanu Reeves, man.
Me and Jesse Rogers met him at Gibson's. He was in town shooting Chain, that movie with Morgan Freeman, Chain Reaction, I think it was.
Okay.
And it was in 95, I want to say. And I come into Gibson's and Steve Lombardo says, hey, you know who's here? Because every night there was somebody there. Shaquille O'Neal, Jason Pat, Jack Nicholson, different Jerry Springer. Keanu Reeves. So I get introduced to him. And he says, hey, that's it. They were here for, I think, the summer of 95, man. And I met him at Gibson's. And the nicest guy you'll ever want to meet. And he says, hey, I'd like to go see Michael Jordan. I go, who wouldn't? I think it was 96 or 94. Wow. And I go, okay, I could take you to see Michael Jordan. There's a game tomorrow night. We have a skybox to score. There's a skybox. I'll get us the skybox. Great.
Nice.
I go, how do we get there? Where do we pick up the tickets? I go, you're going to pick up the tickets at the station tomorrow morning when you do the interview on my show. And he goes, and this guy, his name was Joe Esposito. Joe, I hope you're doing good. Maybe you'll see this. I love you. I know you're his assistant. We hooked this up. And he says, oh, no, man. I'm thinking we'll do the interview after we go to the game. I go, you ain't going to the game then. I told him just like that. You ain't going to the game. And he says, well, no, I want to go. I go, then come to Belmont Avenue tomorrow morning between 10:30 and 11:30. And he came down. the kids from, because I had been talking on the radio about the kids from across the street. There was a line down the street waiting to see him pull up.
Wow.
He pulled up. He looks through the window. We did a half-hour interview that night. We went to the basketball game. We saw Michael Jordan.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
I love that.
Keanu Reeves is absolutely one of the good guys, and No Way Out is another one of those movies. Sean Young, who was a honey back in the day from Stripes, and then, of course, with No Way Out with Kevin Costner. And Bryce, he plays Bryce, Gene Hackman, Secretary of State Bryce in No Way Out. David Bryce, great movie. Mississippi Burning in 1988. Plays FBI agent Rupert Anderson. William Dafoe and him are great as a duo. You got some great acting in that one. Also, he won. They won all sorts of awards. Postcards from the Edge. Unforgiven. He plays Little Bill Daggett, and Clint Eastwood talked him into doing it. He did it. And he got Best Supporting Actor for that. That was his second Oscar. We were discussing today. Everybody was talking about Gene Hackman being the best overall actor of our generation.
Yeah.
But what if Al Pacino died on? And let's say all these guys died on the same day. Al Pacino, Jack Nicholson,
De Niro,
Hackman, Dustin Hoffman, okay, Robert Redford. I mean, so I know Gene Hackman was great, but this was like an era of great actors.
Just stacked. The amount of good movies.
Stacked, one after the other. I mean, we didn't even name Samuel L. Jackson yet, Denzel Washington.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so when you say, yeah, he's up there with the greatest actors of all time, well, maybe there's like 5 guys or 6 guys from this generation alone. I mean, Al Pacino's got to be up there. Nicholson and Al Pacino are the 2 guys I have at the top now that Hackman's gone.
Nicholson looked good at the SNL thing.
I couldn't believe it. I've been hearing nothing but bad words about him.
Yeah, I heard he was on his deathbed, and he looked good.
The guy looked absolutely outstanding. I said today on The Odds Couple, which will be on tomorrow morning, folks, on AES.
Go check it out.
At 7 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning, we'll be on. I want you to check it out. I said to Carmen DeFalco today, I said, if you were going to take an NBA player that was like as comparable to Gene Hackman, it would be Larry Bird.
Sure.
Not overly attractive guys, lead men. If they die, if Larry Bird died, we'd be in shock. Jack Nicholson, sort of like Magic Johnson, LA cool. Denzel Washington's like Dr. J.
I like it.
Yeah, he's like Dr. J. Al Pacino, I don't know who you make him. I mean, he can't. Who is Jordan? That's what I want to know. Would it be Pacino because he's the top guy? In my opinion, I don't know.
Probably.
Yeah, De Niro. He's made some good ones lately. Some bad ones.
He's in his early days. He had some killer movies.
Oh my God!
I agree. De Niro's got some shitty movies now.
Oh yeah. But Godfather 2, he was great and stuff like that.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Raging Bull. I love De Niro, but I love early De Niro. I love all the way to the end of Gene Hackman.
Nicholson's kind of a Jordan for me, man.
Who is?
Jack Nicholson.
Yeah. Yeah. He'd be one. I think he's comparable to Gene Hackman. He really is. But I'll tell you what, Joe, my impressions is, I'm sorry this happened. I think this is going to be an ongoing story.
It will be for a while, I think.
Yeah, I wish we had more information. He has a list, like I read off. No Way Out. He did more Superman, Mississippi Burning. The Firm with Tom Cruise. Just absolutely outstanding. Wyatt Earp did The Birdcage. He did comedy, which was sublime. Where he played Senator Kevin Keeley. Enemy of the State.
Oh, it's
Another
another good
great
movie.
one.
Yeah.
The Replacements. Coach Jimmy McGinty is
Oh, the best.
as Joe was saying. Behind Enemy Lines, The Royal Tenenbaums. Even his last movie I enjoyed, Welcome to Mooseport, which was back at
Sure, that was funny.
2004 with Ray Romano. Any parting thoughts, Joe, on this? Because
He was also an established author. He wrote a handful of books.
Look at that.
I mean, the guy just did it all.
Yeah, I
one of the
think
best to ever do it.
Yep.
Just so many good movies. It's impossible to like just pick one. I don't know how to. I don't know how I pick a favorite out of
Crimson
everything.
Tide. If you ever saw the Kane Mutiny with Humphrey Bogart and that crew, that Fred McMurray, that was on a battleship. The Crimson Tide was on a submarine, but they were basically the same type of movies. To me, Mississippi Burning's one. Hoosiers is number two. Man, you can go. Unforgiven's probably number three for me.
Unforgiven's a good one too.
Yeah. So we want to give our condolences to his children and to people out there. We appreciate everybody that joined us. It was a shocker to everybody. This story, like I said, will be ongoing. We hope we don't see you anytime soon, but that's a part of life. You live to die. And Gene Hackman sure lived good. And he lived
95 years and
a lifelong dream. Not a good way to end. But what a great life that he led. And we want to thank Cumberland Chapels. We want to thank Pennyville Station. And we want to thank you. On behalf of Joe Mandel, I'm Mike North. We'll see you next time on Somebody Big Just Died.